I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. This is the Billionaire Brown experience. Let's go.
The baby. I'm the middle child now, but when I was younger, it was my older brother, my older sister, and then me. I was the baby. My older brother and sister are twins. So they had their father, but their father passed away when they were like 13 years old. And they father was a good man. He used to treat me good and all that stuff. But I always would look at him and want my father. And my father was actually around. So that made it harder on me. That made it worse. And it's like, when I was young, I didn't understand the dynamic of not having a father or nothing like that. Because I had like my grandfather, my uncles. So I didn't really understand how it would affect me in the future. But when I was younger, I remember like never having a father to take me to the park, or never have a father to experience birthdays with and advice, or even if I got in trouble, to correct me. I knew that my father was there, but he never did that for me. So again, as a youngster, I didn't identify with what he was doing or if he was wrong or not, but it did build the anger in me. So now when I turn about 13 years old, no, I say about 11 to 13, I used to play basketball, and I played basketball fairly good. And it was this one time we had this big banquet, and everybody's everybody on the team's parents came except for mine. And I knew my mother was a single parent with 3 kids, so I knew she had to work. But me seeing people's fathers there, mothers there, that affected me, and I didn't even want to play basketball anymore. And from that point on, that's when I knew my father was no good. And then I started to create a hatred for him. So like from that day on, I never respected him as a man. And it affected me to the point of where I said to myself, I want to be a father, and I want to be the best father in the world. And I want to have a wife, and I want to treat her better than he treated my mother. So it grew something in me. But as I'm older, I understand that that doesn't grow in a normal person. A lot of people take that pain and they transfer it in different ways. I decided to transfer it in a way that will be beneficial to whoever my children will be in the future. So the
just
point I'm trying to
real quick,
go ahead.
Just for context, you said from the ages of about 11 to 13, at that point moving forward, you lost respect for your father because of those things that he did.
At the age of 11 to 13, I started to realize he was a deadbeat. But like I said, I'll say from 5 years, I can remember till I was 5 years old. So I just say from 5 to 10, 11, I didn't view him as a deadbeat. I just didn't understand the dynamics of what he was doing. But when I got to
All right, you froze up. T-Money, you froze.
You there? Hello? Hello?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I think we had a technical difficulty.
All right, so, all right, here we go. Hold on. All right, so I guess the question is for everybody. We do apologize about that. We got booted off real quick, but we back with T Money the Icon here on the Nothing's Off Limits podcast, and we're talking about. We're at the point where T Money realized that his father was a deadbeat. And I guess the question that I wanted to ask you before you talk about the effects that it has on these children is, did he know the moment that you found, like you had this, like you, did he know, like, did you tell him, like, yo, did you give off that vibe, like, yo, I'm not respecting you no more, or you're a deadbeat? Did he know that, or did you just know that?
Yeah. No, he knew that because, like I said, my whole demeanor changed towards him. Before, I would have respect for him, like, oh, that's my dad or whatever, whatever. But like I said, I wasn't in the mind frame of he was a deadbeat. I just didn't understand the dynamics of it. So, like I said, when I became 13 to 15 years old, I understood what he was doing because I started to feel it. And then as I started to feel it, I started articulating my thoughts to him, which wasn't good. And we would clash and, things of that nature. And it just wasn't good. Still to this day, we don't have a relationship because I don't respect him as a man.
All right, so as this transition was happening, I'm curious to know, like, what was your mom's stance on this? Like, did she recognize it as well? Did she accept it? Did she try to, like, talk to you about it?
No, and that's some of the issues that I have, like interpersonal issues, like with my mother and even some with my family. It's because, like, everyone knew he wasn't there for me, and they were still, like I told you, my father was around, but he wasn't around me. And like, as I'm older now, I understand that was wrong. But I have a big family and we big on respect. But now that I'm in my 40s, I'm a grown man and I understand everything clearly. So for me, I felt let down by my family. I even felt let down by my mother because I felt like, as my mother and my protector, okay, she took care of me. I'm not trying to say she was a bad mother. I'm trying to say, why didn't you have this same anger that I had because he left you with a child? He didn't do nothing to help you raise this child. My mother, I guess she looked at it as, I'm just going to raise my child on my own and to hell with you, but I didn't see it that way. And I don't see it that way because I feel like she should have the level of hatred I have times 10 because she was married to him. She had a baby by him. She was in love with this man once upon a time. So for him to be the type of person that he ended up being, I could never, like, as a woman, I would never befriend him or I could never be cool with him. And it's like, sometimes my family still invites him around. Some family members are cool with him and they talk to him and they bring him around me and they know that I don't like that. So it's like, how could you torment a child like that? Like, if I see the effects that a parent does to his child and the child member is in my family, the father couldn't come around unless the child is accepting of the father.
All right, so we're going to get into some of the things that he did not do. But what were some of the things that he did do that weren't good as well, that had some effects on you in a negative way? Or was it only the things that he didn't do?
He would come around every blue moon and give me $100 and think that he was doing something. Like his famous thing is $100 and like hair, and that's it. Like he will come up to see me for 5 minutes, give me $100 and walk away. Like that was what he considered being a good father. He never gave me advice. He never took the time out to understand anything that I liked, anything that I was going through. Anytime I had problems or trouble, I could never depend on him. So when you say the things that he's done, he's gave $100 maybe once or twice out the year, and he thought that was doing something. But he's never gave me his time. Like, my father never threw me a birthday party. He's never took me to a basketball game. He's never took me to an event, as far as I can know. Like, if I go to my mother's house and take pictures, there's only pictures of him at a birthday party when I was 1 year old. And my birthday is on New Year's. So I have like the day the world celebrates is my birthday. So you're supposed to at least think to yourself and say, Dad, my son's birthday is on New Year's. If you're trying to build a bond with him, let me do something nice for him on his birthday. That never happened.
All right, so let's just get into it now. Let's get into the effects that it has on a child. It's kind of interesting because my father, I don't know, we have like two different memories of my childhood, my father and I. Like, and the interesting thing about it is that he always, his go-to is that he did the best that he could do. But when I'm telling him, I'm like, well, I don't remember, like, we didn't really do anything. You wasn't really around and stuff like that. It's like, he doesn't really remember. Like, he sees it completely different. He sees that he was in my life for most of my life, which myself and other people don't, we don't understand. So maybe he didn't give me
I totally get what you're saying, because my father actually tries that same approach, but your best wasn't good enough. That's just the bottom line, because you could have did better. And like I said, a lot of people get caught up in finance, like thinking, if I pay for my child to do this, or if I give my child this or that's being a parent. That's far from the truth. A child remembers memories, remembers events, remembers advice, adversity, people they could trust, people they could depend on, conversations when they're upset, and they can call someone, especially their father, and get the advice they need to handle a situation. That's what a child is going to remember. A child's not going to remember a few dollars you give them when they're older and wiser. So at the end of the day, if your best is not good enough, that still affects the child in a negative way. And when I say children are affected negative, it's because they're growing up without no one, a male figure that they can trust. So now it leads them on a path of darkness, of trust and betrayal, because like I said, they can take that energy and transfer it in different ways. Some children would think that that's normal and that's okay. So now they become womanizers, and they have all these children by different women and don't want to take care of them, because first, they're angry, and second, they don't know any better. So the effects are, it's a big umbrella, but the effects are paramount to a child's future. And some boys will take the energy and transfer it in the right way, but most won't. So I want to break that cycle. And like I said, it's not even about the deadbeats. It's about the effects that's on the children. So if any man is listening to this and they not right with their children, I just hope they would take the words that I'm saying and think about it and say, all right, let me call my child, or let me try to spend more time with my child, or let me try to help raise my child. You see, because you can have, and this is from a father and a mother's perspective, you can have the flyest child, the best dressed child in the classroom, but your child might be the dumbest child in the classroom. So now it all stems off of where your priorities at in the betterment of the child's life. So do you want a child that's materialistic, or do you want a child that's smart, progressive in society? So at the end of the day, some